Thank you for joining us on the channel today. We are going to talk about something very interesting. So first of all, there's many ways to buy a vintage watch. You can go to your favorite dealer, you can go to a website, you can go to eBay, maybe not. Anyways, there's a lot of sources where you can buy these watches, and a big source, a big market is the auction market. The auction market is very, I would say, I find it very enjoyable, the whole experience of maybe traveling somewhere, sitting down, viewing watches. I mean, the great thing is, even if you go there and you're not really in the market to buy a watch, it is a great opportunity for you to hold important watches, inspect them, ask questions. It's just a great educational aspect. And in the viewing, usually you meet, depending on where the auction is, you meet a lot of friends, a lot of dealers who travel all from their homes to wherever, Geneva, New York, Hong Kong, wherever the auction is, to come together. That's really a very enjoyable part of the auction marathons, auction times, to see your friends and people. And then also it's a great opportunity to ask them for their opinions on certain things that you might be wanting to buy or you're considering to look at, and vice versa. They will ask you. It's a great source of information, and I think it's very interesting. So the viewing, it doesn't start really with the viewing. It starts actually with studying what you like and what you don't like. Usually in the old days, all auction houses used to send a beautiful printed catalog to you, which I still miss from some auction houses today. It's very enjoyable just to go through it and find what you like. And some auction houses have upped the game in terms of pictures and documentation. I appreciate that a lot. I think that was very necessary to give like maybe 1 or 2 pages to a watch if it's very interesting and important. Some auction houses do that now. It's very good. Anyways, I'm the old school guy who always usually before the auctions, before traveling anywhere, I wait for the catalog to be sent. If you send the auction catalog by mail, if it's online, then we have to do it online. And to go through the auction catalogs and see what's interesting for me, I take a pen and I take notes of what do I like and what I want to look at. And if it's something very, very interesting, sensitive, then I already request some auction, condition reports to go and to study for myself what I'm considering. I've pulled out some very old auction catalogs. 2011 is really cool, really funny to look through it. Looking at some values, it's really sad, yes, but this is it. I mean, we've all gone through these, and we always, in the old days, we thought, oh, that's really expensive, and that was actually the price. It's just cheap now. And anyways, so the auction catalog will give you, the auction give you ways to bid. Today you can bid live in the room, which is, I think, the coolest part. Putting your bid up, seeing who's bidding as well. I think it's the auction dynamics in the room also sometimes to your disadvantage will have impact on the result of the lot that's going to be sold. So the auction catalogs usually, back to the bidding. There's live bidding, and then there is phone bidding. If you're interested to bid on the phone, if you're not able to be in the room, but you actually want the dynamics of what's happening in the room as close as possible, you can contact one of the specialists of the auction houses. The auction houses are Christie, Sotheby's, Monaco Legend Group, there's Antiquorum, and there's Phillips. These are the major auction houses. Then you have also Bonhams, and you have some Art Hermitage, you have some other auction houses as well. I'm going to focus on these 5 now. I think these are the biggest ones, of which only Antiquorum is the auction house that solely sells watches. For all other auction houses, I think the part where watches are traded is actually the smallest one. If you compare it to art or cars or something, it's really tiny. But anyways, it's still there. I think it's significant and it's interesting. You can bid in the room, you can bid on the phone, or if you don't want to do that, you can leave absentee bids, which means that you put a budget in your mind, you write it down, you send it to be registered, and that's it. If somebody bids the next increment, you're out. And one way of doing it, which I find the least interesting one myself, is online bidding. I mean, online bidding, first of all, it's like you have a mouse in your hand and you're just clicking, and it's so easy to spend $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. And another part is like, if you bid like in the last second, the auction doesn't stop actually, because what they do is I think they add a minute or two for the next bidder to react. So I think online bidding is really, I don't know, the last resort maybe. Back to the catalogs. The catalogs today give you some nice close-up pictures, 1 or 2 pictures of these watches. Wow, 565 for 40,000, and what a dial, crazy. It will give you the estimate in many cases in different currencies. So you have, first of all, the home currency for the auction. Here it's Geneva, so the home currency is Swiss francs, and then you have an approximate conversion into US dollars and euros. Most of the auction catalogs, I think, do that. There's also Hong Kong dollars for Hong Kong auctions, just to give you an indication. Now, how do you read the auction estimate? The estimate is literally 2 numbers in between which the auction house thinks that this watch should be selling. Now, in the old days, I remember that the estimates for some watches were like 10 to 13,000, 10 to 15,000, and someone started this, I don't know who it was, and most auction houses followed, is to double the estimate. Like if the lower estimate is 10,000, then the upper estimate is 20,000. I don't know why that's done. Maybe that's to be more accurate, maybe to be more in the range of where the sale actually will be. And there's something else which is very important, which is the reserve price. So the reserve price can, in many cases, vary from the low estimate. Means that if the low estimate is at 40,000, the high estimate is at 60,000, you might be able to buy the watch at 35,000. So it's not set in stone, don't be surprised. In some cases it varies from the estimate. This is something you don't actually know, you'll only see when you are bidding in the auction. Now, these are the documentations we get from the auction catalogs. As I said, the quality of the presentation became better over the years, which I appreciate. But I think to buy a watch, to spend a sound amount of money for these watches, I think we need a little bit more. So if you're interested in something, in some watches, if you have the chance to go to the auction, to travel wherever, or maybe that's in your hometown, that's the absolute best way to do it. I've mentioned already in the viewing, I think it's a very interesting energy, a lot of people that can help. You can speak to people, take their opinions. You can also express your concerns if you have any. And in some cases also, when dealers or collectors go to viewings and they express their concerns, sometimes the watches are withdrawn because auction houses, they do their best. They do their best assessment to their best knowledge, but sometimes they miss something. I think it's just like human. I think we shouldn't judge them too hard on that. But I would say that the best way is to protect yourself and actually do a good due diligence on the watches you're interested to buy, and take the advice of the auction houses, and take the advice of maybe some other people too, in order to be on the safe and on the comfortable side. So you can do the viewing in the room, and if you're not able to, then you should be contacting the auction house, the specialist for content, video content, photo content. I would always ask for an observation from the person who's sending you the pictures, not only the condition report that's sometimes done, like when an auction has maybe 500 lots, 600 lots, then the condition report is kind of a standard thing where only things that are visible instantly are mentioned. In some cases, sorry, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but the fact is that they're not always very accurate. So when I ask for additional pictures, content, I always ask of the opinion of the person working at the auction. I think that's very interesting, an observation when he has the watch in hand, and you can ask, okay, can you turn the watch and can you send me the inside case back? Maybe they can go to their watchmaker, have the watch opened, and it should be full transparency. I think you shouldn't be doing that in the last 1-2 days of before the auction, because the auction houses will be very, very busy, and I think not in order not to make their life very, very difficult, I think if you can ask for these things a little bit ahead of time, it's to your advantage. You have more times to consider for your consideration, and the auction house can actually do a good job in providing this information. Now, you can always ask for pictures, be it from a dealer or from an auction house. I know people, they buy watches, they're not very experienced, and they said, okay, I asked the dealer to send me like 50 pictures, and they send me 50 pictures, so it's a good dealer and it's a good watch. No, you have to be able to assess what you see. You know, you get the pictures and you ask. If you're not able to assess yourself, and on the other side there's only the auction house, it is really recommended to go to your friend, collector, dealer of trust to go and take their opinions as well. The more eyes see the watch, the better, I would believe. And so this is documentation, something you can do beforehand if you cannot go and travel to the auction itself to prepare for the bidding and your watch list, I would say. To the condition reports, yes, they are mandatory in my opinion. There's some auction houses, they take it a little bit more serious than others. There's one auction house that actually does a grading system, which is their own internal grading system, which I find actually very good. This is one of the very old catalogs. This is from 2009, so I don't really have it here. So they have a coding system, so next to under the lot description where the estimate is, it will show a bunch of letters and numbers, which are then codings for the condition of the dial, of the case, if something's reprinted, if something's not good condition, if something's not in working order. High five to Antiquorum, well done. I think this is something that is very important. And other auction houses should do something similar. So when you're just watching the lot in the catalog, you already can see, okay, oh, here it actually is. Here it is, a grading system. It's the case, the dial, the movement, and there's a AA, AAA rating. I think that's very, very interesting, important to see on this watch. For some people, they will look at the watch, they said, oh, that's great, okay, that's already on my list, and something else is, okay, that's 54, that's reprinted, that's out for me. It just makes things easier, and full transparency should be there anyways. So to the condition reports. Now, I think something very, very important. You need to understand commission structure. Like we have had friends, people who went to an auction and they were bidding and they got the invoice sent and they were like, I had to pay much more. There was a 25% charge of surcharge on the hammer bid I did, and so they did. What they didn't know is that there's a buyer's premium. The buyer's premium is an amount that is added on top of, it's a percentage on top of the hammer amount where the watch is sold. That means you buy a watch, you hammer a watch at 100,000, the buyer's premium, it averages out somewhere at 25%, so your total to pay is 125,000, and sometimes there's some taxes involved as well. And so there's two tranches of premiums. There's a seller's premium and there's a buyer's premium. So for you as a buyer, the only interesting part or important part is the buyer's premium, because that's what's going to be added to your bidding from 100 to 125. You pay a premium of 25,000. But on the other side, when the watch is consigned from the seller in most cases also has a seller's fee. So for a lot of dealers or people who consign a lot of watches, that seller fees is very low or sometimes waived. But in general, if you consign a watch to an auction house, you be prepared to pay something between 5 and 10%. I would think, yeah, 5 and 10%. Where there's one auction house that recently tried to revolutionize the paying structure, that was Sotheby's. That yes, they lowered the buyer's premium from 25-26% to 20%, but now they're taking 10% from the buyer, which is quite a bit, I have to say, you know. So not a friend of that. Just if you watch that, I'm really not a friend of that. So this is the commission structure, and always be aware that if you're not in the same country you are bidding on the watch, then there will be import taxes applied when the watch is shipped to you. The auction houses, what they don't do is they don't declare low. So among dealers, sometimes people say, oh, I'm buying this watch at $30,000. Can you declare it at $6,000 so I don't pay much taxes? It works here and there, but the auction houses don't do that. Just remember that they don't do that because they have to fully export the watch to get it out of their system, of their tax system. So if you're living in Europe and the watch, you're buying the watch abroad in the US or wherever, then be prepared to pay import taxes and duties. It's all your duty actually to check on that. It's not the duty of the seller or sender of the package. So don't be surprised. Auctions can become expensive. I think the overall experience is very cool, but then you have the hammer price, then you have the buyer's premium, then you have import taxes and duties, you know, and sometimes, of course, you have to do the payment before the watches are shipped to you. So experienced buyers will know that. If you're not really experienced, I suggest that you try that out with some watch at some point just to see how that goes. Of course, don't waste your money, buy something nice you like, but get into the vibe, in the how can I say, in the auction vibes, how that works and how that is for you. Because for some people it's like, no, I can't do auctions, I need to buy right now and you want to take it right now, you know. So if you're in the country where you're buying the watch and you want to take your lot with you, then I think after the auction day you can go there, swipe a card, or maybe do a quick wire and take your watch. And you still have to export it in most cases because they have to get the watches out of their system. So we've covered most of the points that are very important. I think one thing to mention here is that the auction market is also kind of a Grail market. Like a lot of the very, very important watches are consigned to auctions because the sellers want to widen their chances to reach the right client, which you as a dealer, you might not, or a private seller, you will probably not achieve to reach the buyer for that. Auction houses for important lots mostly, not for everything, do a great effort in creating content, doing interviews and doing presentations, creating content just to expose what they want to sell. I think in many cases the auction house can be very, very helpful to find the right buyer for your watch. And also another point I want to mention here, don't become like how can I say, flashed when you open an auction catalog and you see a dream watch, a Grail watch, and the auction estimate is like starting 12 to 15,000, you know. And in many cases it has been proven to be only like a number on the paper that should say something about the value of the watch, but in some cases the upper estimate is topped by 10 times because the watch is so interesting, because there's so many buyers for this watch, so many people fighting for this watch. So again, it's an indication you should look at if the watch is 50 to 100,000 or it's 5 to 10,000. Yes, it's interesting to know, but I think it's to the auction dynamics, to the room's discretion where this watch will sell at. So we've seen many surprises. We've been looking at some watches, many cases sitting in the auction. Said, okay, I'm ready to bid. You know, you take your paddle, you're ready, and then before you can take up your paddle, the auction is like bam, 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 and it's already 5 times as much as you would have, or 10 times as you would have paid for the watch. I can say auctions can be very expensive. They can, a watch you want to buy, which initially seems reasonable to you price-wise, might end up becoming very, very expensive just because other people are in the room. They're interested in the watch. They want to buy the same watch. Sometimes you have museums bidding for these watches, so there's hardly any end. You can bid whatever you want, and the museum will take the watch for a higher bid. We've felt that a lot of dealers or collectors have gone through that already. This is how it is. I think still the auctions are a great spot for me to be. Like, I have them as my annual events marked in the calendar. There's I want to go to Geneva, I want to go to Monaco, I want to go to New York, I want to go to Hong Kong. These are like the major interesting spots where the auctions happen, and I'm really, like, a big part of visiting these auctions is to see my friends, dealer friends, collector friends, see sometimes clients who bought watches from us we never met in person before. So I usually very look forward to the auctions. Sometimes I come back without a watch. Yes, happens. Sometimes I come back with so many watches that I don't know how to pay for them. But I think it's very interesting to be there, and if you have the chance to go to an auction, maybe you're in the market for something, maybe you're not in the market, I think you should see the dynamics in the room. Sometimes it's really funny because some bidders are I don't know, just doing a good show, you know. You have bidders who bid 100,000, and then the next one is 111, and the next one is 200,000, and the next and the next one is 222. I don't know. And sometimes there's people walking around, they don't have a paddle, but the auction house knows them well. So I think it's a great experience. I once saw that somebody was bidding on a Paul Newman, and he just left the bid and walked out, and I don't know, he didn't really hear the hammer when he won the watch. So I don't know, it's just cool to be there. Sometimes you'll have some dealers pulling out some watches, things that they would like to offer to clients at the auctions. So the auction market is a very interesting market. I think it's a big part of the entire, a very significant part of the entire secondary or vintage watch market. Some auction houses really focus on vintage. I appreciate that a lot. Sometimes you have boring watches. I think there's a buyer for everything. That's why they put everything in the catalog. I think if there's 20 lots you're not interested to see in the auction, you can walk out and have a coffee. We do that all the time. The auction dynamics are very, very cool. I think you should go there. And yeah, well, the auction houses are announcing their dates for the May Geneva auctions now, so you can put the numbers, the dates in the calendar. There is next auction. There is a online auction for Dubai, I think. There is in April, and there is Monaco Legend Group is happening in April, and then you have all 4 Antiquorum Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips happening in the first half of May. So I think I'm very, very much looking forward to these. I hope this helped a little bit. Share this video with your friends who are interested to buy at auction or to see how it goes, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you next time.